Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
That's it. Go ahead, Sam. I'm waiting.
Happy Devils Sunday. It is June 10th, 2018. Do you know what happened? You know what happened 18 years ago, Beer Baron?
We won our second Stanley Cup, my friend.
Oh, I was hoping that you would answer that because I would have told you that we won our second Stanley Cup back in 2000 in Dallas. The famous, infamous call by Mike Miller. The Stanley Cup, how does it go? I forgot. Has fallen from the stars. The new millennium has its first Stanley Cup champion. I think it goes,
right, buddy.
The New Jersey Devils are the 2000 Stanley Cup champions, something like that. I don't remember the call. That one. I thought I did. Yeah, it was kind of close. So where were you? Well, where were you back in 2000? June 10th, 2000, around this time.
Back in June 10th, 2000, I was preparing to graduate from high school because I graduated that June. So I was at my house watching the game, and I remember when they won, running out into the streets and screaming, and I had an air horn. I'm pretty sure I got told to shut up a few times. But yeah, I remember sitting there watching, like sitting on the edge of my seat, watching that game, and then watching that beautiful pass, and then watching Arnott, bury that goal. One of my favorite parts about that whole series of events is how the look on Scott Stevens' face, how he comes over and just basically mugs Arnie after he scores the goal. That was great, man. That was like one of the best. It was like a no-look pass, even though Elias has since said, he had a good idea that Arnott was going to be there, but that's still one of the craziest passes I've ever seen from the corner, right to the tape. And just a beautiful, perfect goal.
I'm going to fill in some details about that game. You remember Scott Niedermayer's goal? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that one? And when the Jason Arnott scored that goal, I remember seeing Scott Gomez like leap like this high on top of the pile while everybody was celebrating. And I'm like, holy crap. He, if he jumped a little bit higher, he probably would have missed everybody and went over the glass because he jumped so high. I mean, if anybody remembers here, since we have visual on this podcast, I mean, he was like, I can't even do it because I'll be jumping
the greatest
up.
The greatest visual aid I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, he went really high.
You not jumping.
I can't jump that high.
The best is, like, I don't even think you attempted to jump. Like, if you did, my God, man. My God, well, I don't think you have a...
Well, this is the maturity because I'm going to hit 40 this year. There's a wonderful lady downstairs that lives below us, and, you know, I'm kind of loud when I do the podcast. And I don't think I want a text message. What is Sam doing at the podcast? Is he doing a reenactment of Scott Gomez jumping so high? and then she hears the floor go bam, bam. Yeah, the thud. Or is there a big fight going on up there? What happened? No, we don't want that. Yeah. We don't want that on the podcast.
You don't want the cops coming in to bust up a domestic dispute. Only to find out it's an almost 40-year-old man doing a podcast.
Yeah, doing a podcast mimicking Scott Gomez 18 years ago with the double overtime victory in Dallas when Jason Arnott scored that goal. I'll tell you where I was that day. I was actually house sitting for a professor at Penn State. We were in Howard, Pennsylvania, right? So this is... When you talk about booties, there were no lights in the mountains. It was, I think she owned like 180 acres. You're in the mountains. You literally had to off-road, had to off-road to get to her cabin. And she had 2 log cabins, not just one, but 2. And they were made from the wood on their property. You know, they actually like brought in a sawmill and did that. Oh, yeah. But one of the amenities they did have was Dish Network. And I have to admit to you, it was very frustrating watching that game because it was very windy that night. And anytime this tree was moving, you would lose signal. I did not see the Scott Niedermayer goal live. I didn't see the Dallas goal live. And that Jason Arnott, I saw part of it live. But I did see Scott Gomez jump like really high into the pile. That's what I caught. After that pixelation on the TV.
Yeah, so to answer, Douglas Walker was asking, where's Short Sky tonight? Short Sky is on assignment. So he is unable to join us. He is here in spirit as always. So he will be back next week. He had some previous obligations that he had to take care of. So, you know, sometimes it happens.
You know what? Do me a favor. Everybody in the Facebook Live, give Shorts Guy a lot of love. You know, he's a part of the podcast. Give him some love. You know, he's here in spirit. As we're talking about the 2000 Stanley Cup finals. And also, the day before was the 15th year anniversary of the Devils winning in 2003. And I actually thought about it because it was Grant Marshall's birthday, and I actually sent him an email. I said, happy birthday, Grant. Have a good one. And he said, thanks. But he would be a great guest today. To have Grant on because he was at both games, one on the losing end and one on the winning end. And I kind of want to ask him, it's like, what was it like to be on the losing end of a major dynasty in the making? But that would be very nice.
so really funny is there is when I remember in 2001 when the Devils lost against the Colorado Avalanche. So my friends and I planned a camping trip like well before the Stanley Cup Finals were even set in stone, right? So Game 7 comes around, and we're like, well, we're going to be camping that weekend. And I'm like, dude, we can't miss the game. I'm like, there's no way we're going to miss the game. And we're camping up near in this place called Schwartzwood, however you want to pronounce it, which is in North Jersey, I believe. And there was a little deli like right down the street that had a TV in it, right? So we go down to this deli, we're watching the game, and it was like a deli pizzeria type of place. And the owner of the deli was like, dude, I got to close up shop. If you guys want, I'll leave the game on the TV. I'll leave the TV on, but you have to watch from the parking lot. So we're like, whatever you have to do, we don't care. So we ended up watching Game 7 of the 2001 Stanley Cup Finals, sitting on the hood of my friend's car, watching it through a window in the parking lot of a of a pizzeria out in the middle of nowhere. And like halfway through, because it's like the third period, like between the second and third period, the guy had to shut down. And in between that time, like a cop came over and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, how you doing? The owner told me that you guys were going to be here, blah, blah, blah." He ended up being a Devils fan. So he ended up hanging out with us. So, me, two of my friends and a cop sit there, watching the Stanley Cup Finals on the hood of a car in the middle of the woods, basically. So it was just crazy. Like, the dedication when you're a fan, the dedication that you have to go through. Like in 2003, and this all goes back to, we remember those conversations we had about superstitions. Like, I remember watching Game 7 of the Ottawa series in 2003, and I was at my buddy's house, and Ottawa goes up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run to the store and get something to drink. And I ran to the store, and as I went to the store, the Devils scored twice. I come back to the house, Ottawa scores. Before my friends could even tell me, I already got my stuff and left and drove around listening to the rest of the game, because that was just like, that's the superstition of a fan. Just like, if I'm holding something and they score, if I'm holding something in my right hand and they score, or if I'm drinking a beer that's certain way and they score a goal, I got to drink that way the whole night, or I got to hold that thing in my hand the whole night.
Actually, I was with my friend Jeff that night with that satellite dish problem back in 2000, and he did find the branch that was causing all the problems. But as soon as he would it was too high to cut down. I mean, we tried everything to get that branch to stop moving it in the line of sight of the satellite to get the signal, but he would hold down the branch. But I would be the only one watching the game because he was outside holding the branch. So I would just kind of yell at him, and I think the Devils started getting penalties because of it. So we were kind of like, F that. I felt like we were going to lose, but then again, you had one more game, which was Game 7, which I had tickets to. And of course, you want to witness them watch to win the cup, but he also could give you a heart attack as well. I mean, that 0-0 game, Game 5. I mean, that until Vladimir Malakhov kind of screwed it up, and the puck went to the Dallas. I forgot who scored. I think it was Madonna. I don't remember, but to win the game 1-0. But I'm telling you, it's like superstition as a hockey fan. It's just like, I mean, it can be something stupid like, okay, I'll go to the bathroom during, this timeout. So because last time they scored like 2 power play goals in like 30 seconds, right?
Sometimes you got to go to the bathroom and be like, I got to piss out all the bad juju. You have to get rid of all the bad energy. It's pretty crazy.
Actually, to tell you the truth, here was the superstition too. Game 5. I think it was a 9 p.m. start. I think it was actually a 9 p.m. start. I think it was on ABC or ESPN or whatever. And I had my helmet on. I was thinking, okay, here we go. Let's go Devils. You're up 3-1 in the series. We could win the cup tonight. So you know what I did? I said, I'm going to sit in my seat till we score the first goal, because that was like my superstition.
Yeah.
Boy, was that a bad move, okay? I had just got a StarTAC cell phone, tri-mode, and my mother calls me at I think it was 1:45 a.m. Where are you? thinking, I didn't. And I've been sitting in this seat the entire time. What? Yeah, Mom, it's triple overtime. If you don't believe me, remember I was in college. Just turn on the TV. It's still going. Okay, whatever. I had to go to the bathroom so bad because, after a couple beers, this and that in the stands and not going to the bathroom. Oh, but I was like, what? If I got to go, I got to go. I'll take one for the team. People around me will probably hate me because I'll probably smell like piss, but I held out. And as soon as that goal was scored, like everybody's leaving.
I gotta go take a piss.
Not only am I gotta take a piss, I am really pissed because the Devils lost. But anyway, I mean, hockey superstition could really, really just throw you off. Bobby Manella writes mostly ABC or ESPN. It's one of those. And then 2001. Here's another thing. Since we're talking about Stanley Cups, I mean, the Washington Capitals won the other day. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you talk about Stanley Cups. I spent a lot of money to go to these Stanley Cup final games, and all I ever wanted to do was to get in the Stanley Cup video, the Stanley Cup winning video, that was on VHS and then eventually DVD back in 2003.
Yep.
I didn't get into any of them. I was in front of the cameras the entire time. They didn't use I did everything I could to grab the guy's attention.
Dude,
but I will
03.
say, but let me finish. But somehow I made it in the 2001 Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup video, and I actually saw it on. I should post the link. It's like at the 45-minute mark. All you see me with my goal light helmet. The cup stays here. The cup stays here. And it's just like, out of all videos that you put me in the enemies.
Dude, that's harsh. That's harsh. Yeah. I do want to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals this year and how exciting it was. And I have to say that out of our little group, I think I was the only one that picked the Capitals pretty much the whole way through the playoffs. I have to tell you, I've been following the adventure of Alexander Ovechkin and the Stanley Cup since he won it, and I love every single second of it. He is a grown man who is reverted back into a child, a drunken child, and I love everything about it. Like swimming in a fountain, skying a first pitch at a Nationals game. The dude has been on a bender to tear all benders. You know what I mean? Like he is just. He is in a different stratosphere, and the greatest thing is like you saw the emotion when that game was winding down, and I watched almost every single game in their entirities. You saw the emotion, like once they beat Pittsburgh, he was like a man on a mission. You know what I mean? Like there's no stopping Ovechkin, and then and this is where you win Stanley Cups. Guys like Devontae Smith-Pelly. Those are the guys that win you the Stanley Cups because those are the guys, guys that got bounced from one team to another. Came to New Jersey for. Well, I had a lot of high hopes for him when we first got him in that trade. I thought he was going to be great. And he just never panned out. Those are the guys that win you the cups. And Ovechkin, I am so happy he won. I mean, like I'm not a Caps fan in the slightest, but I've always had such admiration for him, and just watching how he was a child. He showed you like that, it doesn't matter who you are or how many points or goals you score, that there's one thing that matters in the league, and that is the cup. And it's so much fun to watch.
I'll tell you what's great about Ovi. I know some people just can't stand him. Some Ranger fans.
Robert, yes, I did see that.
Yeah. All that's genuine. That's not fake emotion. That guy was drafted in 2004, came into the league during a lockout, essentially, right? And then the other guy got drafted first overall to start the 2005 season, and that was Sidney Crosby, right? He goes out, wins 3 cups. Sidney. Okay. Alexander Ovechkin spent 13, 14 years in the league. That the amount of pressure to win and have that finally beating the Pittsburgh Penguins, then beating the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is a fantastic team, by the way, and then going into a unique situation where you're about to potentially be a favorite in terms of, wow, I've never seen an expansion team win the cup before, but also have a chance. I bet you Vegas bookies right now are so happy that the Capitals won because the amount of money,
101 odds. Oh, it would have been
amount of money. Now, of course, from a PR standpoint, okay, after watching the Capitals won, some of these Vegas casinos were just like, oh, we'd be happy to take a hit for the team. I mean, we're from Vegas too, and I was like, you know what? Get the BS police out, because that's the biggest. No, if your casino is about to lose $6 million or whatever, I mean, come on. Don't you think you want Washington just to win one and then you win next year or something?
And all credit goes to the Golden Knights and what they're able to accomplish this year, and basically have a group of cast-offs, make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they just ran into a buzzsaw named Ovechkin. I mean, that the Capitals were not going to be denied, and there was no doubt in my mind once they got past Pittsburgh, there was no doubt in my mind that they're gonna go all the way. But I mean, there's a lot of promise. There's a lot of hope for Vegas in the next couple of years. They have a ton of cap room. They have a couple of big questions like James Neal. They have Perron. So they have some questions of their own, but they have a ton of cap room. They have a lot of capabilities of being able to bring in some high price talent. And now this is when the wheels start to turn, because this is all this is once all the pomp and circumstance are over and like the Stanley Cups is done, now it's into the grind of, all right, so what are the Devils going to do to address the team, and what are they going to do to try to bolster the blue line, or bring in some more scoring. We've talked about it ad nauseum for the last couple of weeks, JVR and Carlson and blah blah blah, but there could be a possible trade on the horizon that we don't see, or something like that, or the old John Tavares saga that's unfolding over in the island of Long.
I'll tell you what the Vegas identity is, and this is my opinion. The Vegas identity is they're a bunch of misfits cast. If they're going to sign a big free agent, they should really find somebody, not the most expensive one, because you said that they have some cap room to work with. But if they've made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year together as a team, you got to think that they have a chip on their shoulder, but they bring in somebody, and I don't know who, that's kind of like, yeah. Or
he's meeting with some teams in California, so
yeah, you never know. But bring in somebody that doesn't ruin the chemistry of the locker room. I mean, they all had something to prove. Bring somebody like that, that could add to that chemistry. That's not going to, throw it off, because they got something great going in Vegas. They're playing like a team. So if you're going to bring a player, you don't want to bring a player with just individual stats. You want to bring a player with, good numbers, but somebody that can actually fit in the misfits, right?
Well, so that would be the same thing for the Devils too. You think about it like this: you're like, if they bring in somebody, who are they going to bring in? Not all those kind of questions, but you want to bring in somebody that's going to fit the mold of the team. You know what I mean? Like, they really built up something good this year. And it was a lot of team chemistry, and it was a lot of, I got your back, you got my back kind of thing. And the Devils kind of had that mentality too this year, going into the season, where they were like, everybody picked us to be dead last in the Metro. Everybody thinks that we're going to be another lottery team next year. All these other things. They think, oh, Nico Hischier is he's okay, but he's not a generational player, and blah, blah, blah. And this draft is weak, and all these other things. And it's like, all right, cool. Now we're going to go out there and prove a lot of people wrong, and they did, and they made that first step of getting into the playoffs. Now you have to find somebody that's going to kind of come into the team and fit that mold. Like you said, one of the worst things that they could do right now is they could do, bring in somebody that's going to completely disrupt the locker room. And Douglas Walker immediately says, address the defense, and that is 100% one of the things they need to do. And that could be done via trade. That can be done. There's, Erik Karlsson. That trade option is a pipe dream, and they would have to give up a boatload. John Carlson through free agency might cost you a little bit, but
you never know with Ray Shero. He's a shrewd trader. I mean, what he did, I know it's just one trade, but to get Taylor Hall, you never know what he's got up his sleeve. With anybody. So. Bobby Manella.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just about to say it too. He wants to know if Carlson stays or goes. This is just, my opinion is now that he's won a cup with Washington, I feel like he could kind of like sit back and be like, you know what? I've done what I came in here to do. Now is my opportunity to find, free agency. Whether he comes to New Jersey or not, that will be determined. It would be nice to have him come to New Jersey and hopefully, that'd be a huge piece for our blue line. But at the same time, I feel like he's gone. I don't think he's staying in Washington. I feel like he's like kind of that. The Caps winning the cup right now, that's such a huge pressure release for so many players where it's like Ovechkin can come back next year and score 5 goals and nobody will care. At least, Capital fans won't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was a report that Putin was saying that Ovechkin wants to come home. He wants to come home and play in Russia. And if he wanted to do that tomorrow, if he wanted to retire and do that tomorrow, I don't think there's going to be a lot of Capital fans that would bat an eye at it. They'd be like, all right, cool. Hey, you brought us a cup. You finally you got past that little hump. So I don't know. I just feel like Carlson's, I think he's going to go out there and test free agency. Worst case scenario is he just stays home, but
you know what? You only get a few chances at free agency where you win the Stanley Cup. You're an unrestricted free agent. You could go to any team. It's just a matter of, finding a place where you're going to make a lot of money, be happy, and a chance to win the cup. I mean, every cup that's added on, and that's something I'd like to ask, Bill Clement or even Grant Marshall or any of the Devils that won multiple cups. It adds to your legacy. I mean, it totally adds to your legacy. 2-time or 3-time or 4-time Stanley Cup champion. You don't want to be one and done and just make money. I mean, unless you're, that's your ultimate goal in life. But, you want to win as many as possible. I mean, that's why you play the game, essentially.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I mean, at the same time, there's got to be, especially for a team like the Caps, because of everything that they've been through and the perennial disappointment that they've become. And it became like the running joke, like there was bars that were out there serving a White Russian with no cups. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there was like this always this constant joke of the choke artists that are known as the Washington Capitals and how they can never finish a job or they can never, get past the hump. And, I don't think that the Devils are going to overpay to get anybody, to be honest with you, because I don't think Shero's in that kind of mindset unless something is out there that we don't know. And that's the thing too, is like, it's all a guessing game from here until July 1st. There's rumors that circulate around. The Devils have been tied to a bunch of different teams. They've been tied to, Erik Karlsson and bringing in, him and how much they would have to give up for him. And there's been also rumors of the Devils trying to go and talk to the Winnipeg Jets and talk to them about Trouba. There's been rumors about them talking to Calgary about Dougie Hamilton. That's the thing. They're all rumors. You don't know necessarily if any of them are true. And sometimes there's like zero validity to any of it, but you hear a little thing and a little whisper in the air. You sometimes have to see if it's going to be true, because right before the Taylor Hall thing, I guarantee you, I had no idea. I guarantee you there's very little people out there that had any clue that Taylor Hall was going to get flipped for Larson. I mean, I remember when it happened, I was like shocked. I was genuinely shocked, and I was super pumped. But
hey, we're at the halfway point of the Let's Go Devils podcast. I'd like to do a station identification. Want to do one?
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You're listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast with Sam Wu, Beer Baron, and George Guys on assignment. You can listen to the podcast at letsgodevils.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio app, Facebook Live, Periscope, our Twitter account at Let's Go Devils Pod, and our YouTube channel on YouTube Live. Was that good?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, totally unscripted.
Sponsored by.
Yeah,
those real corny commercials. Sponsored by such and such and such.
Well, I had some pretty good ideas for the podcast on commercials. We should do live commercials. I was thinking, because sometimes it's like Threes. Was it the Threes? Not company. Threes a crowd or something like that. Sometimes it's like that on the podcast. I'm usually the guy behind the scenes right now. I'm filling Short's guy's seat right now, but I should be the commercial guy. Like I should be like the snake oil salesman of the podcast. So anytime you want to go to the commercial break, I'll go to this wonderful Let's Go Devils podcast T-shirt that's available now at the future letsgodevils.com web store. Buy one. It will cost you. It's at a discount today. Instead of $2,000, was it? No, I'm sorry, $20.30. It's at $20 flat. Yeah, it's $20 flat because the 18-year anniversary of the 2000 Cup team. You save a total of 3 cents. 3 cents that could go towards anything like Devils season tickets, whatever. We should set up like a Fanatics store. We'll start selling Devils merchandise through these commercials. It's going to be kind of a little bit of QVC on the Let's Go Devils podcast.
We'll start generating some money, and then we'll do a live event, and we'll have all of our friends like Doug and Robert and all these other guys, and we'll do a live event at like a casino, and we'll do some on-site betting at the same time. So whatever money we generate from any advertisements, we'll just turn them and flip that onto, some now legalized sports betting. So that would be nice.
Yeah. or we could go, it'd be really funny. If we go like all out, we get sponsored by like a casino in New Jersey. Sports betting is going to eventually be legalized if they can get through all the politics. I can't believe Delaware beat New Jersey after all the millions they spent trying to overturn that decision, that they still haven't legalized it yet, technically. And can you imagine if we did it at a casino and everybody bet on the Devils?
So wild.
And the Devils are the underdogs, and the Devils actually win, and we're just doing a podcast, and everybody's so happy that the Devils won. Oh, I know. It'll be rating.
If we did a live event at a casino in AC or something like that, the problem is that I would be itching. I'd be staring, over at a craps table the entire time because that's like my favorite game to play whenever I go to a casino. We'd have to get a hotel because I wouldn't be able to just go down there and hang out, do the show, and leave. We'd have to have it'd have to be a wild party.
You know what? We should hook up with the hotel down in the AC, and you get a Let's Go Devils podcast discount, promo code LGD.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Simon in our Facebook group says you need another Martin. Until then, you'll keep losing. I mean, we could argue this all night. I beg to differ, but there is only and will ever only be one Martin Brodeur. But let's see.
Well, there's only one Keith Kincaid.
So this is great. So Joe just jumped on and he asked, what are the chances of the Devils trading for a solid defenseman like Hannafin? And that was another name that I heard kind of pop up in some rumor circulations kind of floating around. Now, you have to understand, like I said, I'm connected deeply into a lot of social media avenues. We'll just put it that way. And there's a lot of people.
Wait. What do you mean by avenues? You're talking about message boards?
No. Let's just put it this way: is like I have my sources. Everybody has their own sources, right?
We all have sources.
We all have sources. From what I'm understanding, is that there's a possibility that there's some people that are on the move that you would be shocked to find out that they're on the move. Now, this isn't from any specific inside source, and I'm never going to give you...
It's not coming from Captain Crazy from 233, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. Good,
Even if you told me anything, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. So let's just put it this way: I would almost be willing to go down to AC and put some money on the fact that the Devils are going to be pushing to get a solid defenseman. Now, from what I understand, is they're going to be trying to push to get Carlson. And there's going to be a serious push to get that done. And even if they do get Carlson, I wouldn't be shocked if they went out and get something else, or try to get something else. But there is a lot of speculation that they're trying to and actively trying to bolster up that blue line. You look at the stats from the team through this entire season, and that is the one glaring weakness. And it has been shown that Ray Shero is building this team in the correct way, and he also is addressing a lot of the things that need to be addressed. I think Will Butcher is going to be coming back 10 times better than he was last year. I feel like he grew and matured a lot faster than anybody expected him to throughout the season. So expect Butcher to come back better than he was last year. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like Shero's going to plug in those few key pieces to make this team a serious cup contender. There's a lot of things that rely on our goaltending situation, though.
Sorry, I got distracted. Sorry, I got distracted with social media. I mean, the Facebook Live page is humming. Our Periscope page is humming. The YouTube Live, you know what? The other day I was kind of looking. We don't get that much traffic at YouTube Live. We haven't really promoted it yet, but we will soon.
We're experimenting with different things like that.
Yeah, we're experimenting, But I think somebody wrote.
Talk to us, the more we talk back to you. You can ask people like we see some guys coming back every single week, and we absolutely love it, and they've become like pivotal parts of our show, like Robert and constantly kind of adding in things. Douglas constantly adding in things, and we're always like trying to read and interact with you guys. If you hear anything out in the world, maybe you become a source. You never know. That's how those things kind of work,
Yeah, just make sure you private message me so I know what you're, what the real deal is, and I just keep it to myself, and then I'll be like, so I'm not going to name names, but a 233 crazy, and say that I do, the janitor at the security guard at Continental Airlines Arena, that guy saw it on a whiteboard at Lou Lamarella's office. Anyway, sorry, that's an inside joke. I think it was devilsroll.com back in 2003 or if anybody in the Facebook group remembers that yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway, sorry.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Oh, and Robert, yes, I heard about that, the new Hard Rock Casino that's being opened up. I'm telling you, we talked about this off air not too long ago about doing this for real. And I think both Shorts Guy and Sam and I all agree that if we could make it actually happen, a casino live event would be like one of the cooler events that we could possibly do. Obviously, there is a lot of things that would have to fall into place for this to happen, but just know out there that we're looking to have more live events, and the interaction with you guys is really what makes this happen, because we're just fans like you, so that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, we're hoping that this show takes off. We're fans like you, but we're hoping that you guys give us a lot of money and it just becomes something we can retire off of. So anyway, if you want to help us, budget. If you want to help us, pay for a private plane, $35 million, you're going to have to buy a lot of these T-shirts, Let's Go Devils podcast T-shirts, that you can find in our future web store on letsgodevils.com. Anyway, sorry for the plug, the shameless plug. But anyway, Adrian writes, I see a troll go away.
Oh, she's probably referring to the dude that was saying that we need another Martin to win a cup. Let me just tell you, man, that kind of stuff, if you want to troll, you can troll all you want, because if you're a fan of a team somewhere else, you can fess up to it. It's okay. We still love you. Just your team sucks. That's all.
You know what? We're going to need to. We need to take a page out of the Sixers, GM playbook. I'm going to have burner accounts all over the internet. Burner accounts. Total.
How did you know? Simon is my burner account.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to spark controversy. That's all.
Well, what Simon Torque?
Simon is my wife in the other room texting. She's just, we gotta add some more fire. We gotta throw some more gas on the fire. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and thank you, Adrian. We appreciate the support. We really do.
Yeah, just make sure your wife doesn't use her real cell phone number to sign up to Twitter. Get a Boost Mobile account. Go to Boost Mobile.
Get a real burner phone. That's what you're supposed to do. Get a burner phone. And they got the money. You got to think he has the money to do it the correct way. Look at that's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
But you know what? It is Devils related because the ownership group owns the 76ers. So I'm trying to connect the dots here. But yeah, I'll start having burner accounts and fake screen names like in Ray We Trust one.
So Pete just asked a question. He said, what Devil in the minors has the best chance to make it up this year? All right, so and by the way, Simon, I don't see anything from Chad. Let's put it this way. There's a few guys. Joey Anderson could have a serious chance of making the team. Mikey McLeod has a serious chance of making the team. Okay.
That was from last week's podcast.
I know.
I'm just those are just jokes. Keep on.
But there's a few guys that can make it. John Quinville, I keep waiting for him to break through. And I feel like when and if he does break through, he has the potential to be like a pretty decent NHLer. But the kid is a stud. He's got all the makings of a solid hockey player. It's like he gets up to the big time, but they don't give him a lot of time to kind of like mature, and develop in the NHL, because he shows he can play in the AHL. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's one of the things that they're waiting for. Honestly, I feel like Quinville, if he doesn't make it to the squad coming out into October, I think they're gonna they might try and use him as trade bait. But I seriously have such high expectations for him, and I have high expectations for Mike McLeod, no matter what anybody else says.
Was that directed towards me?
No, that wasn't directed towards anybody.
Just checking there, buddy. Just checking there.
Seriously, there's and here's another thing too, is Ken Appleby came up last year in an emergency kind of situation for a goaltender. I feel like he is kind of that next. He's on the doorstep of being the next Kincaid. Do you know what I mean? Like, so let's say that the Devils are in a situation where they want to try to flip either Kincaid or Schneider, either or. I don't want them to flip either or, and we've talked about this before, but if if they decide to flip either one of those guys, Ken Appleby, I feel like is right on the cusp of being a good backup goaltender, and another one that needs some more seasoning up in the NHL level. Either way, I feel like there's a couple guys that could finally break through. What the heck is his name? I have a kid down there, and I'm drawing a blank right now because my brain is starting to switch over to like free agency mode. What the hell is his name? Anybody out on Facebook Live, help me out. He came up to the club and like lit it up this year down in Binghamton. I'm looking. Nick Lappin. Nobody wrote it, but I figured out in my own brain. Nick Lappin. That's a kid that I feel like could make the team too. And that all depends, if the Devils bring back Gibbons, who I believe is a UFA.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I love Gibbons. I thought Gibbons was a hell of a player, but don't take this any other way. But I feel like he could be expendable in the sense of maybe you bring him back, but put him on a 2-way contract, and then give Nick Lappin and a few of the other guys a chance. You got to think they're not going to bring back Stafford. I think he was a 1-year deal. I don't think they're going to bring back a lot of old blood. I think they're going to start letting a lot of these young guys come in and try it.
Tell you what, it doesn't surprise me that another Metropolitan Division team won the Stanley Cup. That division is hard. I mean, that division is loaded with teams that have so much potential. And, where's Barry Trotz going to go? He has all the leverage right now.
There's reports that he's going to stay in Washington, and I hope he does. I mean, that's a stupid situation if he leaves.
You know what? We don't normally do this, but I got to call out a troll. You got to actually. It's you, Beer Bear.
Do the burner account. I told her.
Yeah.
I just texted my wife. I was like, "Come on, man. You gotta knock it off a little bit."
It's like, what's the point? Well, what's the point? Are you trying to? Are you like? What do you get out of like being a troll? You get the excitement. Does it make you giggle? Like ha 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 ha, LOL, LMAO. Are you on your phone? Are you on your Android phone right now? Just going like, ha ha ha! I pissed off all these Devils fans on their Let's Go Devils podcast. I feel like, I feel famous that, that they called me out, and it's really Beer Baron's, wife's burner account. I mean, seriously. Do you want me to do a quick monologue? Are you okay?
No, I'm good. We're just going to move on. Pete says that Trotz is going to get paid no matter where he goes. I feel like that's
of course.
That's a true statement too. I feel like
Can you imagine? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say if he does decide to move on, or if he decides to go anywhere else, I don't know if there's much of. I don't know how many open jobs there are right now.
Long Island.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but would he get along with good old Lou?
I don't know. I don't know if there's any relationship there, but yeah, Bobby Manella, great comment. Yeah, of course, Trotz is going to get paid.
Yeah, he just won a Stanley Cup. He is a Stanley Cup winning coach, so probably. We'll just put it out there and say probably. This is the thing is, Washington next year, you got to think they're going to have a lot of holes to fill, because there's going to be, you would imagine that Carlson's leaving, right? So there's going to be a lot of things going on over there that are going to be moving. So the chances of them repeating as Stanley Cup champions are probably not going to be on the higher side. Yeah. You see what I see? Do you see what I see?
Here at the Let's Go Devils podcast, we attract a lot of trolls, but that's okay. That's okay. You know what? Devils fans are busy right now. That's all I have to say. You'll catch up with the podcast a little bit later. Anyway.
Yeah.
Ignore the trolls, people. Ignore the trolls. But you know what? I will say, trolls, you add to our numbers. And then you add to our number, once you add to our numbers, guess what happens? We get to get that $35 million private jet, the Let's Go Devils podcast jet. Did you hear about that story? Some kind of like, one of these evangelists was like, donate to my ministry because we'd like to have another private jet. That's what I was referring to.
I gotta say hi to Christy. Hey, Christy, how you doing? No joke. If I'm in the wrong game, if you could be an evangelist and talk about, God will come and save you, as long as you give me a Mercedes Benz in my driveway. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
hey, remember how we were talking about me doing the live commercials? I should say, my name is Sam Wu. And you join my Let's Go Devils podcast membership, it will save the Devils. Save the Devils from the mongrel New York Rangers.
Oh, my God. I don't know, man. I just, you know what? We're getting to the point now. It's we're fastly approaching July 2nd. Is it July 2nd this year? Is free agency open on July 2nd or July? Yeah, July 2nd.
It's usually July. It's usually July 1st, but it's also Canada Day. It's usually 12 p.m. 12 p.m. on July 1st. It's usually around that time. I remember one of my favorite. I remember my favorite July 1st moment. There were two guys that I needed the Devils to side, and Lou Lamoriello came through. It was Jamie Lagerbrunner, and I think it was Patrick Elias. He got it done. I think it was the same year. Am I correct? I think it was like 07, after the 07 season.
You are
Lou
correct,
Lamoriello gets it done. He got it done. And then hearing that story that potentially Patrick Elias could have went across the river, and I think it was the no trade clause that was the deal breaker, if I remember correctly. And I mean, those are. But here's the thing: some of the deals don't happen on July 1st. I drag on, just like when Parisi couldn't make a freaking decision, he just dragged it and dragged it and dragged it.
Let's not forget the summer of Kovalchuk.
Oh yeah, and then once they signed him to that ridiculous contract, it's like, what is null and void? What,
dude? That was the most frustrating. That was one of the most frustrating things to just watch. Not only as like just as a Devils fan, just as like a hockey fan, as like a hockey fan, it was just like you watched Kovalchuk, like when he came to the Devils. I'm not joking about this. I remember I was at a game prior to the Devils making that trade, right? And I was sitting around, we were talking to some different fans, and this guy was like, blah, 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 like, do you think the Devils are going to make any moves this year? And I looked at him and I said, the Devils are going to get Ilya Kovalchuk. And he goes, no way, man. And I'm like, trust me. I'm like, I'm telling you, the Devils are going to get Kovalchuk. And sure as hell, they ended up picking him up. And I remember, watching that trade happen, and I sat back in my seat, and I was just like, I predicted the future. I legitimately predicted the future. So I'm going to say the Devils are going to get John Tavares and John Carlson. And mark that down in your calendar. 9:54 on whatever day it is.
Oh, hold on. Let me type it in. Let me type it in the Facebook.
Parisi was heartbreaking. See, Parisi was heartbreaking. I think Parisi was heartbreaking for a couple different reasons. They gave him the captaincy, and it felt like that was going to be the thing to keep him here. And
just remember, they went to the Cup Finals.
They went to the Cup Finals, exactly. They went to the Cup Finals, and then it was like, this is it. He's going to be locked in. He's going to be a Devil for a long time. and everything just fell through. And it sucked. Like, that really, really sucked. But
yeah,
such as that, I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about the same thing. They were talking about it in regards to like baseball, but or either baseball or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're like, most of your favorite players, it's very rare nowadays to find a player that plays their entire career, with one team. And sometimes you forget. I think they were talking about Keith Hernandez. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm not even a Mets fan, but they were talking about Keith Hernandez. And they're like, a lot of people forget that Keith Hernandez didn't start his career as a Met. He was a St. Louis Cardinal for a very long time before he became a Met. And
I'll give you another example. People in St. Louis don't realize that Martin Brodeur played almost 20 years in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's like, when are they going to retire his jersey? When are they going to have are they going to have a statue? Are they going to have a statue of Martin Brodeur? Outside whatever they call it, center.
It's funny, like he's a potato chip. When Marty went to St. Louis, I didn't know, that was another thing. I didn't know how to feel about that, because like there's so many people, and this all the Kincaid haters, or not the Kincaid haters, the Schneider haters are like, oh well, Schneider forced him out and basically made the Devils get rid of him and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, he was like, at the end of his career, he just I love Marty. Like, obviously one of my favorite players of all time, but let's be realistic. He was at the end of his career. Like, that was Jeter hanging on to the last couple days, and you're like, ooh, man, just like give it up. He had one shutout for St. Louis, I think, like something like that, but you knew it was that was it. That's the end.
I have a different approach to everything. As a big Marty fan, I know I'm a homer. This is how you get first overall picks. Ride him till he doesn't want to play anymore. Have him lose a bunch of games.
You don't want to
tell you what.
But
you know who Connor McDavid was in the draft. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but you know what though? That was like one of those things. Well, first of all, Lou would never let that happen, because Lou is way too prideful for the Devils to tank a season to get a high draft pick, which he's proven multiple times. There was a few times, I'm not a huge fan of teams tanking, and I'm glad that there's a lottery, because it kind of prevents teams from doing that. But it's like watching a prize fighter who in his prime was like unbeatable, and you get towards the end of their career and they're just getting laid out night after night, and you're just like, geez, just give it up, dude. Like, it's hard to watch towards the end. And that's like I'm not saying it was hard to watch Marty towards the end of his Devils tenure, but at the same time, like, you just kind of didn't want to see him getting thrown to the wolves and going up against teams, and like teams putting up a 10 spot against them.
I think it was just not. This is what I think. I don't think it was fair for the team that Marty had in front of him to continue that legacy when the team it was actually pretty bad. Secondly, he did have 2 shutouts. Did he have 2 or 3 shutouts?
No, I think he only had 1. St. Louis, I think
he had 2. You know what? Let's go to the stats. I'm going there right now. I thought he had 2 shutouts with St. Louis.
Like, pretty darn sure he only had 1.
I think his last game was a shutout, wasn't it?
I think like I said, I think he only had 1. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like, you didn't want to see him go out on his back. You know what I mean? Like, you want to see him go out like with some respectability and some pride, and it's almost like you didn't want to watch him get the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah, St. Louis fans. I'm looking on Wikipedia right now on Marty's stats, and I'm still like scrolling down all that Devils history. He did play with New Jersey, Anyway, let's see here. Let's see. He was, I think, 3-3 with 7 appearances. His final win was a shutout. Doesn't tell me. Career statistics. Here we go. St. Louis, you know what? Doesn't really show anything.
I'm telling you.
Well, you know who?
One.
Yeah, he had one shutout. My bad.
See?
No.
I somewhat know what I'm talking about.
Actually, no. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at playoff stats. No, he had one shutout. You're correct, Beer Barrett.
Told you.
You know what it is?
Dog.
You know what it is? I think he actually was pitching a shutout in one of the games and then lost it, like typical Martin Brodeur fashion, with 40 seconds. I mean, just think about Martin Brodeur. We'll have to have a show of just Martin Brodeur. We'll have to have him on the program of just Martin Brodeur. Do you know how many shutouts he blew in the last 2 minutes of the game in his career?
Oh,
I think it was at least 40 of them. I mean, I think he blew a shutout against the Islanders with 0.3 seconds left.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and then I think the game wound up to be 1-1. I think they lost it in overtime or shootout. I forgot. It was a long time ago. Anyway, we're into our, I guess, 1 hour has passed. I don't know. Have you run out of material, or should we wrap it up?
I never run out of material. I just run out of steam. I got to work tomorrow morning. And, and I'm pretty exhausted. Although I do have to say this, like I said, I can't tell you guys out there how much I appreciate everybody tuning in. It's so much fun to do this every Sunday night. It's cool to see people that we know, like my boy Kevin jumping on. I haven't talked to Kevin in I can't tell you how long, and it's kind of funny that he jumped on tonight. So I got to give a big shout out to that kid. He's one of the cooler people I know. But yeah, it's awesome, getting to connect with everybody, getting to know everybody. And honestly, if we do get trolls here and there, it's bound to happen, and I could care less. You know what I mean?
Tell you the truth, I want to give a shout out to our trolls, our burner account, Twitter, people, and all of them. You help us make the show. Yeah, and just remember one thing, Beer Baron. We're the most commented podcast in the history of New Jersey Devils podcasts. I mean, seriously. So say what you want about our numbers. Some days they're low, sometimes they're high, sometimes it's exploding with people. We are the most commented podcast out of all Devils podcasts in the history of New Jersey Devils podcasts. I'm dead serious. I don't think the Devils All Access podcast gets as many comments as us. And it's because of you, the fans. I mean, you join in every Sunday. We bring you into the conversation. We try to sell you a bill of goods so we can get our $35 million private jet. So we could go. I'm telling you, if we get this private jet, just think what we could do. If we raise $35 million,
that's where we'll be.
I'm telling you, we could have the best road trips if we had our own private jet. Can you imagine?
We'd load up everybody that we know, and we'd go to, I always had this dream. If I won the lottery, I would follow the Devils for an entire season. Go to every single game, go on every single road game, go to every single game and just follow their schedule exactly. And I'm telling you, it's still in the cards. It's still in the cards. Maybe 1 year.
I try to buy the team. I'll tell you, there's a whole host of changes I'd make if I bought the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Name one of those.
I fixed the wall at section 208. It's been the construction hasn't been finished in that part of the Prudential Center. I would actually not make it a wall. I'd make it the 208 bar. Just a bar grill. A bar grill. What would I name it? I'd name it. I don't know. I don't know what I would name it. Woo's Palace. That's what I would name it. And and anybody can come in, have a drink, watch the game, and Christy said that she'd be coming on that trip. What if we had a $35 million private jet called the Let's Go Devils podcast? We do a podcast in the air. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine that plane?
We're coming live from 3,000. I don't know why I got into like a real soothing soul voice when I said that. Coming live from all the way up 30,000 feet, however high a plane goes.
Yeah.
How does this plane go? Oh, no.
So we're gonna have to sell. A lot of these T-shirts. These Let's Go Devils podcast T-shirts in our future Let's Go Devils podcast web store. We're getting into e-commerce right now, so we can raise money to do some stuff. But in all seriousness, I would love to get a Let's Go Devils podcast group tickets, Devils Rangers, and we just invade the Blarney Rock or something like that. 100 of us Devils fans, the podcast fans, going into a Devils Rangers game. That'd be insane.
That's what I'm talking about. Is like how many times have you been to the Rock and it's just been invaded by blue? You know what I mean? So it's about time we return the favor, and maybe during next time, maybe next year we'll try to we'll gather up as many people as we can. We'll try and buy up as many tickets as we can and buy out an entire section.
You know what's really funny? This is funny. Okay, we got a troll. If you're gonna make a funny comment about this plane, spell it right. I'll tell you. Our trolls are so funny. This is great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He corrected himself, but he didn't correct the fact that he's a Dallas Stars fan, so that's all right.
Yeah, well, you know what? Just remember 18 years ago when Jason Arnott scored that game-winning goal in double overtime. It was a reunion arena. I don't know what they call it. And yeah, just remember that. That's my only favorite memory about Dallas. Yeah. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up. What, you're still laughing? Playing rather. Right? What?
It's just like
here. I got to play.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, dude. Just to drop that golden nugget. Oh my God! I hope your plane crashes. Oh dang it! I mean a plane rather. That was a terrible Texas accent. Oh man! I hope your plane. White toast. Oh, dang it. Just thinking because I'm hungry. I got the hunger pangs and I'm not really thinking clearly. Now I got to correct myself. Oh,
I hope your plane goes down. Oh, I'm trying to do a Texas accent, but I'm just laughing so hard inside. Oh, my goodness. It's Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oh my God. Simon. Oh my God. This is great.
These Facebook Live burner accounts are great. just totally.
Thanks for the laugh. Simon, I got to give Simon credit because it all started with Simon, and I almost feel like he invited the Mandy person and this other Dallas Stars fan in at the same time. Oh,
I love the trolls. I love the trolls.
Not do I live in Texas, nor do you understand English well. Oh my God. Yeah, I know I couldn't do a Texas accent if my life depended on it. Anyways, I think it's about that time. They invited you. Good.
I like to thank my friends that joined my Let's Go Devils podcast.
I'm glad I got it backwards. Either way, thank you guys for joining in. We really appreciate it.
Oh my goodness. Are you doing the podcast next week? I know it's Father's Day. We'll have to do a Father's Day type podcast.
I guess time will tell. We will. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'm going to say yes for right now, but we'll let know.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Right. Fair enough.
Good time.
Yeah, you know, one day we should wear our body armor when we do a podcast, and we'll share a link to like the Ranger fans and the Flyer fans, and just get our fans. I mean, that's just ultimate trolling.
Wait, hold on. I gotta ask. So Mandy, you throwing all this hate on us. You got to tell us what team you root for. You can't just sit here and say, I can't wait to watch your team lose next season. Smile faces with the crying eyes.
I know.
You got to own up. You got to be tough. You got to be tough. You got to say you root for the blue or you root for the orange or whatever team you root for.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the person that said, hope our plane crashes, you know, at least we know they're a Stars fan. I mean, come on. Nashville Predators.
Oh, the Predators. We love you guys. Why do you even hate on? Oh my God. Ugh. Man,
that's
so disappointing.
You know what?
That's so disappointing.
No. You know what it is? This is what it is. Mandy, I'm going to tell you. You're just jealous that the New Jersey Devils did not move to Nashville, and your team still hasn't won a cup. How about that?
See, Simon, go Caps, go Nucks, go Caps. See, if you listen to the podcast, Simon, you'd understand that I was rooting for the Capitals too. And Mandy, how dare you? I was rooting for the Predators to make the cup, and I rooted for them last year. Gee, man. I'm very disappointed in you.
I'm telling you, hey, you know what? We want to thank all the Devils fans that joined the podcast, all the trolls that entertained us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Also, we'll be back next week. Short Sky was on assignment this week, so he'll be back. And I guess till next time. Actually, you know what? I screwed this up. I didn't play our outro music. Give me a sec here.
Yes, and go seriously. If and I'll say this last thing. If you guys video froze, that's not a surprise. If you listen to the podcast, you'll understand that yes, we are Devils fans, but we're also just hockey fans in general. And I opened up the podcast by saying how much fun it was to watch Ovechkin win the cup, and how cool it was to watch. We talked about it last year about how cool it was to watch Nashville and how everybody in that city embraced it. And in fact, if you guys are fans of other teams, it's kind of cool to get your perspective on what you see in the NHL around. You know what I mean? It's cool to see what other fans are experiencing in other cities. Troll all you want, but in the end, we're going to try and find a way to win you over. This is all about hockey. It has nothing to do with individual teams. This is all about understanding that this is the fourth sport in the United States when it should be the first sport in the United States.
Completely disagree with your assessment, Beer Bear. We're going to convert all these trolls to New Jersey Devils fans. It's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, but eventually we'll con them. But you know what? Hey, if you don't like us, if you want to see I'm going to end on this note. If you want to see our plane crash, our $35 million jet, go buy a Let's Go Devils podcast t-shirt in our future web store. So we can make a little bit of money, retire, do this all day long. Till next time.
Hey, I called the white guy. That's pretty cool.
Oh, what a fun podcast. What a fun podcast.
Hey, Kirsty, I'll see you at work tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Till next time, let's go Devils.